What is up, guys? This is Sean Flack 2.0 coming to you from for the Dad's Life podcast here on Anchor FM. Just want to say good evening to you guys. Welcome to episode 2, the initial reaction. So in the end of episode 1, I left you guys with a question. What was your initial reaction to becoming a dad? Like, how did it happen? How'd she tell you how you felt? Was it something planned? Was it a oopsie? Was it a one-night stand? So I kind of wanted to share my story, since I basically have two of them, two different kinds. So to give you guys a little bit background about me, and maybe again make me more relatable to you, and of course wanting to hear other dads' reactions. There's two I'm going to share. Will be obviously my oldest son, and then my second son. In the previous podcast, I said that me and my oldest son's mom didn't work out. So how did she tell me? Let's see. I came home one night and to my apartment. She was over or whatever. I kind of put all my stuff down, and she's not necessarily in the living room. And then I see a card that says "Congratulations, you did it," with a rose on it. And that's kind of how she broke the news to me. And she was in the room waiting to see what my reaction was. Well, let's just say in that instance, there was a lot of shock. As I think back to what happened and the memory of it, I was pretty shocked. And I was speechless, and not necessarily in a good way. Let's just say I didn't speak to her for a week. I was in shock. Obviously unexpected. That day she told me she was going to Planned Parenthood with a friend or whatever. It turns out she was going for herself to see if she was pregnant. So that was my very first initial reaction. I was shocked. She did not take it, and I think that was also part of the downfall of our relationship, because I did not know how to react, and excitement finally came over. But by then, among other problems that we had, that kind of sealed the deal on our relationship. So anyway, that was the first experience, and talking to my sister, again, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of going back and forth, and my sister, she's big, we need to see, you need to get a paternity test and all this stuff or whatever. So when my son was born on a couple days, I wasn't able to be there. I actually was not told he was born until he was already at home. So I went to go visit him for the first time. He was already at home, and me and my sister went, my sister's friend, and as soon as we saw Lil Buddha, we just kind of already knew, that's your son. You don't even need no paternity test. And she was so gung-ho about it. But yeah, that was my first initial reaction to that. I was very, very unsure, very in shock. And I want to say I was 22, 23 at the time. And I just, was just starting out. And I did not know how my life was going to change. And, again, didn't talk to her for a week. And, so anyways, hopefully, if you aren't a dad yet and she informs you somehow, some way, you don't do that, because it didn't turn out too good. The first experience, paternity test, my sister was like, go get this paternity test. And when we finally went to go see Lil Buddha, it was like, oh, that's your son. You don't need no paternity test. So we actually eventually did not get a paternity test done, which, depending on what your relationship is, with the lady, get one for your own peace of mind. If you think there may be some kind of infidelity or whatever. So again, like in my previous podcast, I said, hopefully you lay down with a lady that is mature, somebody you love, hopefully you want to be with for a long time. That it's not an oopsie. It's not, if you know it ain't working out or it's a one night stand thing, make sure you wrap it up. It's cheaper to buy a box of condoms than it is a box of diapers, and formula and wipes and, that for at least 5 years. I mean, go ahead and, splurge. Don't go to the Dollar Tree to get no condoms. So that was experience number one. So, obviously years gone by, whatever, and I met my wife. Now, go to the blog page, SeanFlack.com. You'll see, I call her, I refer to her as the Wicked Wahine, or the wife. Some of you guys already know her that are listening, so again, love her to death. But eventually she came into my life, and in this particular time, I was in my 30s. So wow, that's pretty. Yeah, I was in my 30s, and we wanted to have a child. So completely different experience than like a girlfriend situation and oh my God, this happened. No, we really wanted to have a child. And what happened is, we got married, try to do it the right way, get married first, live together, get married, then start the family. Well, come to find out that my wife had, we tried and nothing was happening. And so we ended up doing fertility treatments, and then come to find out that my wife had, or actually this is not even at the time when we were doing the fertility treatments, but they weren't taking. And then I forgot how it happened, and it'll probably come back to me, and maybe I'll mention it on the later episode or whatever. But anyway, we fought 4 years in infertility, so we were trying and went holistic and used essential oils and did acupuncture and paid for 4 rounds of IUI, I think it's called. I always butcher those things. And the time and it just was we battled it for 4 years. Through that, I was also going through that 2-year certification training that I mentioned in my previous episode. If you haven't listened to it, go ahead and just check it out. Episode 1. And so it was a very stressful time. And then through this time, we found out that my wife had PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which causes a bunch of reproductive and other things. If you want to look it up, PCOS, or again, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it made it hard for us to conceive. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and share a video on the YouTube page, or from the YouTube page. So again, just plug that website, but to plug this YouTube page real quick. So I'll go ahead and leave a link to the video that actually talked about our infertility problems and what we kind of went through and what eventually happened. But the second reaction, we got pregnant, and then we actually, after all this time of trying or whatever, and then actually we were miscarrying. And, it was a hard time for us. It was a dark time for my wife. But we stuck it out. So again, I have to share the story on that particular part of the journey on another episode, because I just want to talk about initial reactions. Well, the initial reaction to the first time, it was like, okay, what do we got to do next? All this stuff or whatever. And then we found out we were miscarrying. And then that was a very dark time. We went to the doctor. The doctor the OB didn't hear a heartbeat. And so she was like, well, these are your options. We could come back in a week. And, my wife was like, no, just cut the BS. If there's nothing going to be there, let's just move on to the next step and figure out what we got to do. And that kind of hit us both really hard. Like when I was in the doctor's office, I kind of didn't trip. I felt stoic at the time. But when we finally walked out, I started crying. That we just lost. And again, it's some people, the whole abortion, life, pro-life, whatever, pro-choice, pro-life, I felt that we lost a child, regardless if it was 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or however long she was. That made me very sad. Now, for a dad or a man, emotions like that are hard to express because we're always told, well, you need to be a man, suck it up. You need to be a man, suck it up. But men, women, you're still human. You still feel things. And it's okay to cry, especially after, what I felt was a loss, a major loss. So, but I held it together, and then we find, are you okay? They asked us. I was okay. Wife was okay. I was walking out the hospital, and I just started bursting into tears because, we tried so hard and, didn't work out that particular time. And then at that point, the wife burst into tears. So, it was a mess. And again, for you men out there, you dads, potential dads, or men in general, when it comes to loss, when it comes to showing that emotion, don't feel like you need to bottle that shit in. And you definitely need to, I don't know if you want to say express, absorb. Right now, I'm even a little emotional just thinking about that time. So I can't find the word I'm looking for. But embrace that. Embrace what you're feeling and accept it. And if you need to, cry. If you need to, scream. If you need to, just don't do nothing stupid. But, like I said, it's all right to show emotion because you are human, regardless, man, woman, whatever. So that was sad. And so almost a year later, a full year later, and I was halfway through my certification thing. And about a year later, it was about a week before I was to certify. It's a week before my certification week, where they basically is a test. It's like you kind of get to the end of the certification program, then you test, and then you have a final written test, and you have an interview, an exit interview, whatever. And so it was a week before that, and the Christmas tree was up, and you'll see it. You click that link I'll put down in the description to that video, and you'll see. So for listeners, I'll describe it like I was going into this test, and we're thinking after I certified, because we stopped doing the fertility treatments. We stopped doing that. So I went ahead and wasn't even thinking about it. Wasn't even thinking about, having a baby and stuff like that. But I had a week before my certification and Christmas coming up, and so I come downstairs, and the wife says, I got a present for you. It's in the Christmas tree, and I want to give you an early Christmas present, or whatever. However she presented it, that's how I remember it. But she will attest to you that I don't remember everything in detail as it went. So anyway, I go to the tree, and it's a pencil box. And if you don't know me, I love stationery. I love pencils, pens, erasers, stuff like that. Like, I keep boxes of this stuff. Well, not as much as I used to, but I just like writing utensils. I don't know. I'm weird like that. So you do a lot of writing in what I do. So I learned I love this certain type of pen. I use a certain type of eraser. It was a pencil box. So I'm thinking, oh man, it's a week before my certification. She knows how stressful it's been, but we're getting to the end, and she got me some cool pencils or an eraser or a pen or something, to kind of push me to that, like, okay, babe, we're real close. We're close to the end. Let me get you a little present, and boom. So I grab the pencil box, I sit on the couch, and I crack it open. And, in the video, you'll see, I'm just like, what whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, is this real? And what it is, it's 2 pregnancy tests in there, and they both show positive. And so no fertility treatments, just trying naturally, and we were already deciding, like, right after I certified that we'd start the treatment back up. We're making the doctor's appointments, getting kind of ready for that. And so boom, it happened. And my initial reaction to that, which again is on the video, and I'd have to say that telling her mom was the best part of that video. So check that video out. But yeah, I was excited. I was in disbelief. And it was a year later, like almost a year to the date, or like a day after we found out we were miscarrying. So a lot of time had passed. But some of those emotions came back, and actually sparked my mind to start a book series. Again, a different story for a different episode for a different time. But I was super excited. Obviously kind of went through, was very careful, and you'll see at the end of the video. Just watch it. I'm plugging it, so watch it. It's like, I don't know, my wife, she edited it, she put the whole thing together. It was beautiful. Check that out. But I was excited, and I was happy, and in disbelief, and I was ready. Obviously, that is a situation where we planned, where we worked hard, because having sex is having sex, and you're having fun, and it's okay, oops, oh my God. But no, when you are trying to have a baby, like, ovulation strips, and for a man, which you may not think this is a bad thing, you're a piece of meat. You are a piece of meat. So, when it's time to go, you better be ready. So, so there was hard work with that. There was, there was actual, to the point where I was just like, okay, we're doing it to do it. Just because we're ovulating and all this stuff. And, after a certain point, I'm just glad, we got through that. And, yeah. So yeah, that was, my two experiences with finding out about the baby, and then losing a baby, and then just the emotions that came with it, the excitement, the shock, not knowing what I was going to do with my life. Again, just starting out, just getting my job, my very first apartment with my roommate, so yeah, 2 different times in my life, because I want to say I was 35. There's an 11-year gap. So yeah, 34, 35, 23 when I had the boy, the big boy. So an 11-year gap for a very long time. And just kind of going back to the first episode, your life is over when you have one. So I had one early, then I had one late. I wasn't ready. I was in shock. The relationship wasn't going to go anywhere, so I already knew I was going to have to deal with additional stresses that come with that. Versus the time where I quote unquote did it right, where I married, then built the family, and then kind of worked on the relationship a little bit, and 2 different times in my life, 2 different reactions. But yeah, so going back to, leave me a voice message. There's a voice message option if you have the Anchor FM app to comment on this topic. You can hit me a direct message either on the Sean Flack 2.0 Facebook page. You could connect with me on the Sean Flack blog, so www.seanflack.com. You can leave a comment on the video on YouTube. Again, I'm trying to go with that Trinity thing. So leave me the voice message here. Write me something, either a comment on YouTube or a comment on, or a direct message or a private message on Facebook. So yeah, please, I want to hear, the who, what, when, where, how, Was it exciting for you? Was it shocking as well? Where did you go? As far as your mind, what was your first initial reactions? Was it something planned? Was it not planned? So I'd like to hear from you guys on that. Now, switching over, I want to go ahead and make sure I'm checking for time here. Switching over to a little bit more lighthearted topic. Now, obviously, it is November, so we're getting ready for all of our holiday shopping. So the question I want to leave with you for the end of this episode is, what's on your holiday gift guide for 2018? Being a dad and having all these emotions and things like that, let's talk about things. Let's talk about that balance piece. So, again, what are you going to get the dad in your life? Maybe your dad. What are you going to get? What do you want? What are some of the things that you find interesting? I'm going to do a poll on Facebook, or, a question on Facebook to see. The podcast is going to be weekly. So I'm going to try to record either Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, drop it by Tuesday night, Wednesday, every week. I at least already got 5-6 episodes planned out. I'm also looking for guest hosts. I'm also looking for more input on shows. If you are interested in guest hosting, please send me a message on any of those things. I already have 2 people lined up to be guest hosts. But the way it's going to work is we could guest host, where I could send you a list of the episodes and you can look at the topics I'm going to go over, and maybe you want to chime in on one of those topics. Or I'll send you an email, an interview, like 5 questions that talk about the topic, and you just answer those questions, and I share your answers on the podcast as we're recording. So it's really going to be up to you. If you are interested in guest hosting, it's real easy through the Anchor FM app. So I am plugging them again because I actually really do like their app. And make it real convenient. So that's about it for this episode. If just to kind of end out, if you're interested, PM me, leave me a voice message through the Anchor FM app. Check me out on the Sean Flack 2.0 blog. It's www.seanflack.com. You can also find me on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Sean Flack 2.0. I believe the 2.0 is on there. I'd have to double check. And then, of course, on YouTube, there's links to the YouTube channel because it's like its own URL thing. There's links to the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment on YouTube. But that is, if you go to the website, there's an actual tab that has that information on there for the YouTube channel. So that's it for this episode. Short and sweet. Again, tell me what your thoughts are. I love your feedback. Also, it says the dad's life because I'm talking from my perspective, but if you are a mom, I already got one of my friends to say, hey, if you need a mom, let me know. I'm interested. All the moms out there, come on, let's have a discussion. Let's talk about these different topics. Let's talk about parenting, different types of parenting. But yeah, I only can speak from my perspective. So this was Sean Flack 2.0 with the Dad's Life podcast on Anchor.fm. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Later.